Hello and welcome to another video from my channel, The Sacred Rainbow Warrior. Today I'm going to talk about sharing and how sharing can change your life and the rest of the world. Today I'm going to discuss how to share, what sharing is, and the benefits of sharing. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about sharing. It's one that is very, very close to my heart. I found it very difficult to share my voice. I started this channel a few weeks ago, and someone left a comment on one of my videos saying that the internet is full of armchair psychologists, and it's like a dark spell that stops you, just silences you. And that's what happens when you grow, when you shine your light. When you start sharing your voice, people start trying to put you down because it shines a light on them. It shines a light on their ignorance. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to share. I'm trying to share my voice and share my light to help others that have been through and are going through their own difficulties, because I've been through it. And I make all these bold claims and bold statements. And it's going to take me time to share my voice and share what all that is. But it is very difficult to get people to listen to the voice of the pure masculine. What is the pure masculine? The pure masculine is something that is very new to society. We currently live in a distorted patriarchy where man steps on anything that resembles love, resembles freedom. You look everywhere. You look everywhere and you can see lies of how we've been stopped from sharing our voice in purity. You know, if we start talking about things that I'm not even allowed to talk about on here, like that thing that happened in 2020, and those things they stick in your skin, or the church. I can't talk about those things because we're silenced. Why can't we talk about them? Because they're lies, that's why. So I wanted to talk about how sharing is a really, really powerful healing tool. It starts with healing for yourself, and then it goes outwards, like with everything. It's the three lines of consciousness: me, you, and us. And when I talk about sharing, I'm talking about the sharing of your voice and the sharing of your emotions. That's what's healing. The sharing of your emotions is like sharing. It's like breaking up with an old friend that wasn't good for you. It's like breaking up with an ex that was treating you like crap, you know. So for example, if you had depression and you were afraid to talk about it, and the reason you were depressed was because, say for example, I'm just thinking of extremes, your mum and dad had a divorce, or you got punched in the face, or you had an abortion, or something even more serious. When you don't share something like that, it starts to rot inside you, and that part of you refuses to die, and it starts to cling on, and it starts speaking to you. You know, the ego starts telling you all these horrible things: you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And over time you start to believe it, because that's the only voice you start to hear, and that's how depression kicks in, and then that's how that leads to apathy. And apathy is horrible. Apathy is where you can't move, you can't talk, you cannot feel anything. And apathy then leads to things like suicide. And if you don't share, that's how you get there. If you don't share your voice, that's how you get there. You take your own life, because you start to believe that those voices that are asking to die mean they want you to die a physical death. But actually, it's just ego death. It's a spiritual death. We are infinite beings. We're full of many different spirits, different beings. Like our blood alone has billions, trillions of parts to it. So we are like, we're not one person. We're a system. We're a universe. And with the ego comes the ability to transcend personalities and realities. There are different parts of you. Like you're not a robot. You don't speak the same all day and behave the same way. There are different parts to you. You have a personal reality, a personality, and that's different for everybody. Everybody has their own reality, how they live life. And so your ego will do everything it can to not die, which means it will do everything it can to silence you, to stop you from sharing. But what happens when you do share is you free yourself from that which was trying to stop you from sharing your voice. So let's take the example of the troll that told me I'm an armchair psychologist. That then sent me into a, how do I say, like an inward spiral, like a plane crashing down. I started sharing my voice. I started a YouTube channel. I said I did what I was scared to do, and being afraid of someone saying something horrible to me, but going, "Oh no, I'll be fine." And then actually, someone did say something that wasn't too nice, and so I then talk about that with someone who can hold space for me. So in this respect, it's my girlfriend, and she's done the deep work as well. And if you don't talk about it, it becomes an impurity in your heart, and it starts to grow into something, and you start silencing others. That's what happens. So someone tried to silence me, and people will always try to silence me, and people will try to silence you. And every time you say yes to that, you've bought the lie. So I bought the lie that I shouldn't share my voice. And I found it very difficult to make this video. It's taken me nearly 2 weeks just to do another video. And so that's the antidote. The antidote is to share your voice. And I'm not just talking about making videos. I'm talking about in every situation of life. Now, when you go to talk therapy, you're taught to share about your emotions. And you're in a safe space. And the psychotherapist or counsellor, whoever, will sit there and they will listen to you, and they will give you advice if you ask for it, or analysis if you ask for it. Now, if you can find a space holder like that, or in the spiritual community, a shaman, or someone who is intelligent enough and has the wisdom enough to understand what it means to hold space for you, and then you can talk about what is bothering you, and the deeper you go, the more you can free those parts of you. And so, for example, if you're in the darkest parts of your life, or if you know someone that is, share this video with them, because I've been through some really, really, really dark times, multiple times. And the darkest times is when your ego is trying to tell you to, and when you don't know this, you start to believe the voices. So I've had suicidal thoughts, thousands. I've lost count, thousands of times. I got them last week. I got them the other day. Yesterday, my ego showed me a vision of me cutting my left hand off. And luckily, I understand metaphors. That's a metaphorical message from my ego saying, I don't want you to receive, because the left hand is for receiving, and it's saying, I don't want you to receive. I don't want you to receive love. And so I was like, oh, fuck you then, I'm going to make a video. So the sharing of your voice, look at it this way. You have two people. sat opposite each other. You have you and the person holding space, and they may want to share with you as well, and you hold space for them, right? And say you have the ego, or no, let's say you have the fire in the middle. A fire, you're sat around a fire. If you're sat in front of a person like I'm sat in front of you now, and you ask me to talk about how I feel, and I say no, I silence myself. But if you ask me to share about my emotions and I say yes, I say, do you know what? I feel lost. I feel like the world is going to shit. I feel like I've tried everything and nothing works. I feel like I don't want to go on anymore. And I feel like this isn't doing anything. I feel like I just don't want to be here anymore. Nothing's working. And what happens then? You've shared your ego. Everything you just shared is true, but it's also a lie. Because you're sharing how you feel, but it's how the ego has made you feel. So the main reason people don't share is because they're scared of judgment. So if I tell you, I feel really shit because I told my girlfriend, I told my mum I told my mum to fuck off the other day. And then if you then go, oh wow, you're horrible, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, that's horrible, that's narcissistic or whatever. Then that's silenced me. You haven't held space for me, and I don't want to share anymore. But if you say to me, I told my mum to fuck off, I go, okay, how does that make you feel? It makes me feel shameful. It makes me feel like a bad son. It makes me feel like I'm a horrible person. And then you may say, is that true? And you may say, well, it feels true. And this is the trickery, you see. First, you have to share, knowing that someone is going to hold space for you and not judge you. And then second, not fall for the tricks of the ego, because none of it's yours. You attach to it because it's been with you for so long. So if I start to believe that I'm a horrible person because I swore at someone and I don't forgive myself, then I'm going to believe that, and I'm going to continue believing that until I say, no, that's not true. I forgave myself. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm human. So that is an example of sharing in a safe space. And the reason it's so powerful is you continue, when you continue to share, like you do this all the time. I did this every day for 3 years. Every day for 3 years with my partner. We went really deep. Sometimes 6 to 8 hour sessions every day. That's more than most psychotherapists do. And they get paid for it. And what we discovered, is that the deeper you go, the harder it is. But when also the deeper you go, the more gold there is there. Like you start to understand everything. You start to understand yourself. You start to understand why you're here. You start to understand your purpose. You start to understand why your family's so screwed up. You start to understand why you're having difficulties. You understand why you hate your job or why you didn't get that job. You understand why you broke up with your ex, and so on and so on and so on. You start to understand everything because you start to see the patternings of everything you've learned, all the lies you've bought. And this is how we can save the world. Honestly, it's so powerful, sharing, if done properly, but we're all taught to silence ourselves, and most of us don't even know how to share properly. So I'm writing a book about this. I'm actually sharing the voice of our origin, the voice and the origin of the ego, and I'm actually creating an online course for men about the sharing of the voice. And I always like to incorporate animal wisdom into it. And I'm not sure if you've heard of the fable of the lion's share. It's actually a false fable. It doesn't tell the true power of the lion. The lion isn't just about courage, it's about devotion, but it's about men who have the courage to share. And it's not just about sharing your voice, it's about sharing your kingdom, sharing your realm, sharing your love. Because the king is not king because of his ferocity. He's king because of the size of his heart. His devotion to love is that big, it's limitless. That's what makes the lion king. And when you realize that, when you realize that love is more powerful than the ego, then you can share anything. You can talk about anything. I've spoken about some really dark stuff that I'd probably get banned immediately from all platforms. This is the problem about being silenced. You can't talk about your core woundings because they're just too powerful, and a lot of people get too offended these days. But that's another reason to share is, you know, if you're triggered by something, like imagine if you're triggered by this video, why is it triggering you? It's triggering you because something true is being said. If you're pissed off with me, mirror that back to yourself. If you're annoyed at what I've said, it's triggered you. Triggers are truth. They're triggers on the heartstrings. They trigger the ignorance of what you're not willing to look at. This is why sharing is so powerful. Imagine if I started talking about the things I'm not allowed to talk about. That's going to trigger some powerful people and they'll silence immediately. So I'm trying to show you the different levels and power of how sharing your voice is so important, but it has to be shared shared in purity. It's all good and well making a video and saying this or that. It's important to share from your heart, sharing how you truly feel. And the difficulty of that is what I said earlier, is the fear of being criticized, the fear of being judged. And this is the society of, you know, dark spells, dark magic that we live in that stops us from sharing our voice. But the benefits of sharing greatly outweigh the bad stuff. I mean, it helps you heal the parts of yourself that you don't want to acknowledge, and it heals the parts of yourself that you feel ashamed of, and the more you do that, the lighter you feel, and you even start to make room in your head. You start to feel better in your body. You lose weight, you look younger, your hair grows thicker, you tan more easily. There's so many benefits to healing by sharing the voice. So I invite you to share your voice. Please leave a comment on my video. Share, ask me questions. Share something that you found difficult to share, and I'll hold space for you. So thank you for listening, and thank you for holding space for me. And I will try and continue to make more videos. And thank you for listening, and please click like and subscribe to help me get my voice out there. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.